Sup nerds, today we have Blue Hybrid versus Machinedramon. Caleb won the double, so he's going first. He hatches Dory, evos into SB, then evos into Machinedramon. Chris hatches Kyaramon, evos into Madoki Betamon. And Chris is actually using my deck here. He activates Mental Training for 2. Adds the Tommy to hand. And then activates another Mental Training. Adds Zudomon to hand. And Caleb just plays an Analog Man to pass turn. Chris is using my deck because I pressured him into doing it for the content because I wanted to see this matchup. Chris promotes and then activates Sora and Joe. Alright, Caleb beginning a main phase, triggers Analog Man, trashes a card, gains a memory, draws a card. Then activates an Analog Man to choke Chris to 1. And he hatches Kyaramon, evos into Syakomon. Then plays another Sora and Joe. Give Caleb 3. Alright, Caleb promotes. Sora and Joe's really good in this matchup. Alright, so Caleb activates one Analog Man, trashes a card, gains memory, draws a card. And Caleb evos Megadramon for 3 memory, which actually should be 4. Blows up the Madoki Betamon, and then evos into Machinedramon for 3, searches top 5. Gets to add Analog Man, and then tucks a Andromon into his sources. Then triggers Doraemon's effect to draw an extra card. I'm surprised Chris didn't catch that Megadramon evos for 4, because the Machinedramon deck is actually his. LOL, Chris. Alright, so Chris promotes. And Chris actually said out loud he wished he had one more memory. How ironic. Alright, so he swings with Syakomon, triggers both Sora and Joe's, strips bottom 4, and draws 1 from Kyaramon. And Caleb procs 1 Analog Man to redirect the attack into Machinedramon. And then Chris plays Zudo Ace for 4, strips the last source, and bounces the Machinedramon back to Caleb's hand. Get riggedy wrecked. So Caleb hatches Dory. Triggers 1 Analog Man, trashes, draws, gains memory, triggers the second one, does the same thing. Alright, then Caleb evos into Hagurumon. Plays Attack of the Heavy Mobile Dudes. Trashes a card for cost. Hard plays EX1 Machinedra for 12, triggers his effects, tucks up to 5 sources, red or black level 5 cyborgs with different card numbers from hand to trash. Alright. Gains 5 memory back. And then blitzes into Zudomon. He pierces. Ace Overflow triggers. Chris loses 3 memory. Trashes 1 and then pierces for 2 checks. First check is Tommy, so it strips bottom 3, so he loses the rest of that. And it is still Caleb's turn. He goes into Gargemon for 2. Hatches Kyaramon. He goes into Syakomon. Chris desperately needs to see a hybrid here. He doesn't have a level 4 hybrid, unfortunately. A Zudo Ace wouldn't be too bad either, because it would just, well, it would kind of just reset that interaction, because it would just put the Machinedramon back into Caleb's hand. Chris plays Tommy, strips the rest of Machinedramon's sources, and chokes Caleb to 1. Caleb promotes, and declares he has no targets in his hand for Analog Man. He likes to do that, despite that effect being optional. He could just not mention it. He's all about clear communication, though. He swings a Machinedramon at security for 11k, survives. He evos 1 Analog Man into Mercurymon, chokes Chris to 1, but then Chris gains 4 memory from double Sora and Joe. And he gives Mercurymon blocker with its effect. Alright, Chris hard plays Boko, searches top 5. Big money, no whammies. Just completely whiffs. Sad. Doesn't see a tamer or a hybrid, but I mean, I guess we're getting 5 cards closer to him. Swing security with Syakomon, triggers Horanjo, strips the bottom 2 of Gardra, and strips the... Activates the other one, strips the bottom of Mercury. Draws a card from Kyaramon. Rips the level 4 hybrid off of the Kyaramon draw. Yee. Evos into Kumamon, gains memory back. Nothing to strip. That is all we needed here. We're about to pop off. Pops mental training, evos into Beowulf for 0. This is actually a mistake right here. Swings over the Gardramon, triggers Beowulf to bounce the Mercurymon back to hand. Caleb could have redirected that attack with Analog Man, and that would have just killed the Beowulf. So Chris pops other mental training, evos into Mirage for 2. Bounces top card of security to Caleb's hand. Caleb got a fatty hand, gains 2 memory. Machinedramon is stunned from the Tommy effect, so he's not going to be able to attack or block on Caleb's turn. But Analog Man doesn't care about that, so definitely misplay to forget that effect. Alright, and Chris evos into Merciful mode for 6. He already cut out the 10 cards he wants to bot deck, and sets Caleb to 4. So Caleb patches Dory, evos into Doru, then evos into Numamon for 1. Evos into Mercurymon for 2. Swings at security, survives. Gives himself blocker, but it doesn't matter. And then Caleb activates Black Memory Boost, searches top 4. Adds Megadramon to hand. Alright, and beginning of Chris's turn, Merciful Mode trashes itself, trashes the top card of security. Hatches Kyaramon. Evos into Syakomon. Alright, so Chris evos into Kumamon for 2, gains a memory back. Strips the source of the Mercury. He swings security, Tommy stuns the Mercurymon. Swings with Kumamon, it dies. Swings with Boko, it dies, and then hybrids for game. So Chris does take game 1. By the way, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you're interested in my blue hybrid deck profile, the link will be in the pinned comment below, along with the Machinedramon deck profile as well. Alright, so Caleb makes Chris go first for game 2. Chris hatches, evos into Syakomon, plays mental training for 2. Adds the Tommy. Caleb patches Dory, evos into Doru. Evos into Gardramon. Then plays Black Mem Boost. Scourges top 4, adds Machinedramon. Alright, and Chris promotes, and hard plays Soranjo, chokes Caleb to 1. Right, Caleb stays in raising, evos into Megadramon for 3. And Chris hatches. And Chris plays Tommy for 3. Chokes Caleb to 1. Alright, and Caleb stays in raising, evos into Machinedramon. Chris plays mental training for 2, adds the Davis. Alright, Chris plays Davis for 4, searches top 3. Adds the Zudamon. Alright, Caleb promotes. Evos into Castramon for 1. Triggers Castramon effect. Gets a tuck up to 3 sources. Alright, would de-evo the Syakomon, but you can't de-evo level 3. Draws a card and gains memory from his sources. Blows up the Syakomon and blows up the Tommy with his inheritables. And then triggers Gardramon to trash and draw 2 cards. Alright, survives both checks. Evos into Castramon X for 2. This is getting nasty. Gets to trigger Castramon effects again, because of how Chaos X works. So only tucks 1 source and then plays Analog Man for 4. It doesn't have reboot though. Chris goes to 3 from Davis. Yeah, double Tommy would have been pretty nice here. Alright, Chris Evos into Kumamon for 2, strips bottom source of Chaos X. Evos into Beowulf for 1. Pops Training. Evos into Mirage for 2. Bounces top card of Security to hand. Caleb has 8 cards. Gains 2 memory back. Evos into Madoki and Raising. Alright, and Chris plays Tommy for 3, strips bottom 3 of Chaos X. Alright, Caleb hatches. Start of his main phase, tucks a source from trash for Chaos X's effect. Gains a memory and draws a card from his inheritables. Triggers Analog Man, trashes a card, gains a memory, draws another card. Chaos X swings at security, 13k, and pops Tommy on attack. Then when attacking, discards a card, draws 2. Chris is a little antsy, flipping that security over. Oh, and right here we actually just catch that Mirage should have triggered. So Chris gains 2 memory. Repairable game state. Alright, so Caleb triggers Super Erad attack, attempts to delete his Chaos X and the Mirage. Does have to protect its Chaos X unless he wants it to die. So he gets rid of double Machinedramon, pops the Mirage, and then trashes top card of security from Chaos X's effect. Sad. Pops Memory Boost. Evos into Mercury for 2, doesn't draw. There we go. And then swings, it does die to the check. And then Evos into SB and Raising. This is very bad. Then plays another Analog Man, sets Chris to 3. Alright, Chris promotes. Alright, so Chris swings security with Madoki. Activates Soren Joe, strips bottom 2, draws 1 from Karamon. Alright, and Caleb redirects the attack, and it dies. Evos into Kuma for 2, strips bottom source. Alright, so Chris Evos into Korikakumon to dig. He's looking for a second Zudo Ace to protect himself from the Espimon coming out of Raising next turn. And hard plays Zudo. Gives strips Chaos X's bottom 2 sources, bounce it back to hand. Caleb promotes and swings and doesn't get punished by a Zudo Ace, unfortunately. Chris somehow fumbled the bag of that nutty hand game 2, and Caleb does take it. Chris goes first for game 3, hatches Kyaramon. Hard plays Boko for 3, searches top 5. Oh yeah, max value. Kumamon and Soren Joe. Source Strip City. Caleb hatches Dory, Evos into Doru. Evos into Gargemon. And then hard plays Analog Man for 4. And Chris plays Mental Training for 2, adds Tommy. More Source Strip City. And then plays Davis, sets Caleb to 3. Adds the Korikaku. Alright. Caleb hard plays Higuru, discards Machinedramon, draws 2. Then Evo's into Mechanorimon for 2, and Chris goes to 3. Alright, Chris Evo's into Kumamon for 2, gains memory back, strips bottom source. Evo's into Korikaku for 1, stuns the Mechanori. And then plays Soren Joe for 4. Alright, Caleb Evo's into Mercurymon. Gives Mechanori blocker and then swings with Mercury, it dies. And then hard passes. Caleb's hand is not the best. And Chris goes to 5 from Soren Joe. Evo into Beowulf for 1. Evo into Saku and Raising. He swings security with Beowulf. Turns the Kumamon to hand, bounces the Mechanori back. 7k, 1 check. Dies. Sad. Odds of surviving a check at 7k versus that deck are pretty low though. Activates Davis, adds the Kumamon. Evo's into Kumamon, gains memory back from Boko. And then Evo's into Beowulf and chokes Caleb to 1. Alright, Caleb plays Analog Man. Alright, Chris promotes. Alright, so Chris swings security, bounces the Kumamon back to hand, Beowulf dies. Plays a second Boko, searches top 5. Adds the Korikaku to hand. He was in a Kumamon for 2. Gains 2 memory out of the interaction because of double Boko. And then Chris plays Tommy for 3 to choke Caleb to 1. Caleb promotes. Plays Numamon for 3. Sets Chris to 2. Chris hatches. He was in Madoki. And now this is just game. Evo's into Kumamon, gains 2 memory, strips bottom source. Draws from Kyoramon. Evo's into Kumamon, strips bottom source again. Evo's into Korikaku, stuns the Guardiamon. Swings with Kuma, survives. Swings with Korikaku, survives. Swings with Boko, survives. And swings with Boko for game. Chris does take the match 2-1. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content. Want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.